Yo, what's up everybody? Jumping here. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my human infiltrator build for Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, this was really a toss-up. I didn't know if I was going to show the Solarian or the human, but they both pretty much do the same thing. And in my opinion, I just think the human is a little bit better for a sniper build, which is what this is going to be. So, that is something to consider, and I'll try to explain why I feel like the human is a little bit better once I get into the build. Alrighty, let's go ahead and start with the weapon. So there's going to be two snipers that I'm going to recommend for this, although you could also use one of the one-shot snipers that only has one bullet in the magazine. If you're really good at like aiming in and getting that headshot, these things can be really amazing. But to me, it's just annoying because you constantly have to reload the damn gun, and that's just dumb. So in my opinion, my two favorite snipers is going to be the Vanquisher and the Black Widow. Now the Black Widow is ultra rare, and I'm sure a lot of people don't have that. So if you don't have the Black Widow, definitely the Vanquisher. But the Vanquisher was recently fucking nerfed. And in the gameplay you're about to watch, I'm using the old pre-patch Vanquisher that was just absolutely amazing. This gun used to have a glitch that gave it 100% more headshot damage. Now in my opinion, I think all snipers should actually have 100% more headshot damage. That would have been my fix to the glitch. I would have said, you know, that Vanquisher is really good and everybody likes it. So instead of like removing that glitch and making the gun not as good, why don't we just go ahead and make all snipers by default have 100% more headshot damage? Because I'm pretty sure the Black Widow has the same type of headshot damage. Because the Black Widow 1, which actually has about the same damage, actually has less damage. Let me double check that. No, this one doesn't have any mods on it. So if I had the mods on the Black Widow, I would actually have more damage with the Black Widow, but it's not much more. It's like 20 more damage maybe at the fucking most. So the Vanquisher and the Black Widow damage is pretty much the same, but the Black Widow can consistently one-shot enemies with a headshot on gold, where the Vanquisher cannot consistently do that. At least not anymore ever since they removed the glitch. So that is something to consider, but I just wish that they never decided to go ahead and nerf this gun, because it was such a fucking good gun, and we need good guns in this game. There's a lot of guns that are really, really underwhelming, but the Vanquisher was one of those guns that everybody was like, yeah, this shit's really fucking good. This was actually my very first rare gun I unlocked, and I used it so much, and I fucking love it to this day. So I still recommend the gun, but it's just unfortunate that they decided to go ahead and nerf the shit. So yeah. Now for the Black Widow, I recommend the damaged barrel, and I also recommend the ultra lightweight material. That way you can reduce your power recharge time, because that is important. And this gun does weigh a lot. But for the Vanquisher, if you're going to use that, if you can level it up and you don't have a problem with the weight anymore, because that is something that I don't have a problem with, I have 100% weight, I would recommend the receiver, and I would recommend the barrel, because that will make a big difference. But let me go ahead and check out the Black Widow's damage. So check that out. It's 979 compared to 953. Now keep in mind, my Vanquisher is at 6. But once this thing gets to 10, I'm going to imagine it's going to have about the same damage. At the most, it's going to have maybe 1,000 damage. So it will be pretty fucking good. But the Black Widow is able to consistently one-shot red bar enemies on gold. So I think that this weapon actually has some hidden headshot damage. So yeah, I don't know. But let's go ahead and talk about the equipment now. Now the equipment I'm using is the thermal clip. Now, once the sniper rifle equipment comes out, where I think it's going to give you some sniper rifle damage, because I can see that, I would definitely recommend that. But the thermal clip is actually pretty fucking good right now. But honestly, you can use the Juggernaut shield as well. It's really not a big deal. It's totally up to you. Now, in the gameplay you're about to watch, I'm using a sniper rifle rail amp 2. And with this, I was able to consistently one-shot pretty much almost everything on gold, besides the Krogans and, of course, the Hydra. But all the armor targets and stuff, I was just doming them and taking them out with one shot. So I would definitely recommend maybe using equipment if you want to make your sniper just more powerful and able to one-shot enemies. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the build now. This is a totally maxed out build, meaning I have the card to 10 and I have the level to 20. And if you also have that, I would definitely recommend leaving Incinerate at 1 and maxing everything else out. If you do not have the card leveled up, then I would recommend going for Sticky Nade, Tactical Cloak, and the training, and everything else you can just leave alone. But it's really easy to max out your card with a common class. You just have to buy a bunch of basic packs. So you should totally do that if you haven't already done it. I also have the Solarian totally maxed out, but one of the reasons I decided to choose the human over the Solarian is because I know that most people might not have him totally maxed out because he is a uncommon card. So I think the human might be better just for the card level, if anything, because it's always nice to be able to complete your build and max it out. But there's other things that the human gets that's really good. But both the human and the Solarian will get sticky nades and tactical cloak. So the setup is pretty much the same for both. Now I did a lot of testing with the sticky nades, seeing if on gold, if I stuck a red bar enemy, would it just one-shot that enemy? And from my testing, I determined that it really does not. Even if you go for like maximum damage and you're playing on the Solarian, because the Solarian has a lot more power damage than the human. The human has a little bit more weapons damage. So I would definitely recommend Radius. Since this thing will never one-shot a red bar enemy, I think the Radius is a lot better because the way I use sticky nades, I just stick them to enemies or I stick them to the ground and it will stun the enemies and do decent damage to the enemies. And it actually will allow me to body shot with my sniper rifle and kill them. So it's really nice. Definitely would recommend the extra power cells so that you can have 4. And I definitely recommend the damage to armor. Because if you see an armor target, you can just start spamming these and it will do a lot of damage and it's really nice. Now for the cloak, I recommend the bonus damage for everything. The duration, this is really good for getting devices. And finally, I definitely love this one, which is cloak after you attack. This is a really, really nice thing for pretty much all weapons. But if you're using a medium rate of fire, medium damage sniper rifle, you can pretty much get 2 shots off with this and you're going to have the bonus damage, so it's really nice. Now if you're using the one-shot sniper rifle, I would probably go ahead and recommend this one because you only have 1 shot anyway. And this is actually pretty good on the Solarian. The reason is because with the Solarian's training, or the fitness actually, you can actually make it so that every time you use a power, you will regenerate your shield. Now Cloak disables your ability to regenerate your shield. But if you have this perk and you have the tech perk for the Solarian that will regenerate your shield, you can actually cloak and get your shield back. It's really fucking awesome. And he becomes almost unkillable if you are playing him that way. But I would not recommend that unless you're going to use a one-shot sniper, because that would be really good on a one-shot sniper build. Now for Incinerate, I do not recommend actually leveling this up. Just leave it at 1. It can be an okay power though for stunning. If you hit something, they burn. So they will pretty much be burning away and then you can just snipe them in the face. Now the training, this is actually pretty important. Definitely would recommend the weapons damage over the power damage. And I would definitely recommend the reload speed, which is really nice, the clip size, and the spare ammo. Now the clip size actually will make the Black Widow have 4 shots and it makes the Vanquisher have 5 shots. So that's actually really, really awesome. Now finally, for the sniper rifle build, I definitely would recommend the headshot damage, the accuracy, the stability, and you can also strap on a shotgun and you're also going to have better accuracy with a shotgun. Now for a machine gun, if you want to use a machine gun or something that will fire a lot faster, this is definitely an amazing perk for this build because you can debuff the enemies for you and your entire team. So I definitely like that perk a lot, but if you're using a sniper or a shotgun, definitely would recommend this one over the other one. Now for the fitness, we're going to go ahead and get max shields and max health. The other one is melee damage. I personally do not like meleeing all that much, but if you do like to melee, that's a lot of melee damage. So yeah, you can go ahead and go for that. This is actually really awesome because with this, you get regain delay recovery in cover 100%. So if you're in cover, your shield's going to start to come back a lot faster. You also get damage resistance while you're in cover, and that's also really good. The other one here is also not bad if you want to get it. The main one here is that when you are invading, you will have 100 damage resistance, which does help a lot. Now the final perk that I go for is Hold the Line, which is fucking awesome. They named it that. But this is actually pretty fucking crazy because when you have low health, you get 200 damage resistance, which is actually 100% less damage that you take. Now, the thing about this perk, I'm not exactly sure, but it says that it greatly reduces the damage taken when you fall below 30% health. Now, that's pretty crazy because it doesn't say anything about you having low health and also having a shield. So I think that this might actually work. If you are low health and then you have your shield, you still keep the damage resistance. You don't actually have to be like almost dead for this to trigger. But I could be wrong on that, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But it's a really amazing perk either way, because it's going to help a lot. But if it does do that thing with the shield, that is really crazy, because you become beefy for a long time. And this fucking human infiltrator is just really beefy in general. That's one of the reasons I like him more than Solarian. I mean, you can just stay alive a lot easier. Now, the Solarian has energy drain to get his shield back, but I just think that this is just better because you have like so much health and so much shields. Check this out, I'll show you real quick. Look at this. I have, I think, 750 health and 375 shield. So that's really freaking awesome. It's really hard to kill the human infiltrator. Alrighty guys, well that's going to pretty much do it for the build. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the gameplay. Remember, when I recorded this gameplay, this was pre-patch, so the Vanquisher is a lot better in the gameplay than it is now. So it can't do exactly the same thing you're going to see, but it is still a really good gun in my opinion. Alrighty, so this is going to be the gameplay. It's going to be on Firebase 0, which is by far the best sniping map in the game. The way that you want to set this up, if you're going to try to do gold, and you're going to try to snipe because this is on gold, what you want is you want everyone to kind of come into this little back area where this ammo box is. And the way you want to set it up is that you want to have at least one, maybe two people watching the left side where there's a door. And normally you want them to be kind of like close combat people, so Asari Adept's really good, or any type of Vanguard class is really good for holding down that little spot. And then you just want snipers on this side, just sniping all these enemies, because you're pretty much tricking the AI to come right to this like sniper lane where you could just dominate them. It's so easy to snipe them from this angle. So this is a really good strategy. It's like an alternate strategy for gold to make it really, really easy if you have multiple snipers or just someone who's a really good sniper that can take out the enemies very quickly. When it comes to the human infiltrator, there's really not too much I want to talk about, which is good because there's something else in this video that I really want to talk about, and that's going to be the patch that came out. But let me go ahead and talk about this human infiltrator real quick. Now the first thing is you have Cloak. So that's an amazing power. You can go invisible, you can run away, you can pick your dead teammates up, which you should. You should totally do that if you're an infiltrator. If you get the devices objective, you should always volunteer to be the one to go and get all the devices and let your teammates kind of hold the line while you go and do that, because you can do it by yourself. You don't need any backup for real, and it's really, really easy. Now when it comes to sniping as the infiltrator, you don't always need a cloak to snipe. You definitely want to go ahead and snipe as much as you can. That's why the Vanquisher and Black Widow is good. You want to try to kill as many enemies as possible. Now normally what I do is when I cloak, I kind of use my sticky grenades primarily while I'm cloaked. And I normally try to throw them into groups of enemies or onto strong enemies like the Krogans or the Hydras, because it does do a decent amount of damage. If I use 4 sticky grenades on a Hydra, it's the same as using 1 rocket, so that's actually really, really nice. Also, understand that she's pretty fucking beefy, so you can actually take a lot of damage with this fucking human infiltrator, there's no doubt about it. Besides that, what you can also do is get behind cover if you ever lose your shield. Because of her perk that allows her to get her shield back really fast if you're behind cover, it comes in handy. Now, if you're running around with like a close range gun, like a shotgun, or maybe like an SMG or something, and you're just using that for fun, you definitely want to move from cover to cover. Anytime you're taking fire, get behind cover and you should get your shield back really quickly. And honestly, the sticky grenades, I use the sticky grenades a lot for a stun option, because some enemies are fucking annoying as shit. They move around this weird ass pattern and it's really hard to fucking hit them no matter what gun you're using. So the sticky nades are amazing at just sticking them or just throwing it at the ground to stun the enemy so that you can then shoot the enemy. It's really, really nice. Incinerate is pretty poopy. Now, it can be good if you can hit the target, but that's the big problem with Incinerate. A lot of times, what will happen is the enemies will fucking dodge it, and it's just so fucking frustrating. Now, if you do upgrade Incinerate, like for other builds, you can get Radius, and that does help a lot with Incinerate, but still, it's really not a great power. And Energy Drain on the Solarian, I think it's okay, but I just do not like it nearly as much as I did in Mass Effect 3. And it's really nice for getting your shield back, but for stunning the enemies and stuff, it just has such a long recharge time on it. It's kind of a problem, so I don't really use it to stun enemies on the Solarian. And that's just something I wanted to point out. One of the reasons why I like the human a lot is because when I play the Solarian, I'm pretty much doing the same thing. If I'm sniping, I'm using my Cloak to snipe, and I'm also using my sticky grenades to stun. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the Infiltrator. You just want to do those pretty simple things. If you are an Infiltrator, always pick your teammates up because you have Cloak. If there is devices, always do the devices, especially on gold and stuff. It just helps your team, and you just want to play smart. And it's really easy to stay alive as an Infiltrator. That's just something that's really good. And if you have like some beefiness to you, like this human with the fitness and stuff, it helps a lot because I like never die with this class. It's really, really rare for me to die on gold with this class. Okay, so let's talk about this fucking patch because this is what I really, really wanted to talk about. Because when I recorded this, the patch wasn't out yet, but it was coming out the very next day. So I had some shit to do yesterday when it came out, and I didn't get to play it all because I had some important real life stuff to do. But when I got back, I went ahead and downloaded the patch, and I was gonna go play, but then I decided not to because I was just too fucking tired. But I read the notes, and I was just interested to know like what was happening in multiplayer because a lot of the stuff in the pre-patch notes didn't really like talk about what they were doing. They just said we're gonna buff weapons and enemies and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I thought what they were gonna do, because they did say in the pre-patch they were gonna do something with enemies, and I thought, okay, yo, that's probably good. Hopefully they will nerf these fucking enemies, because my biggest problem with this game, it's either one of two things, okay? And there's an easy fix to this problem, and I think a lot of people might agree with me on this. The enemies are fucking bullet sponges. Like, they just take so much damage when you're shooting them with so many guns. Like, you have a gun and you just unload like 3 clips into some enemies, and you're like, man, what the fuck? Like, why does it take so much to kill this fucking asshole? And we're not talking about like bosses. We're talking about like some basic ass enemies. It's pretty fucking crazy. So I think that like one thing they could do to fix that, make it so that the enemies will die quicker, and that will actually balance the weapons in this game a lot more. If the enemies didn't take so much fucking damage, the weapons wouldn't feel like so shitty, and that's the problem. A lot of weapons just feel shitty as fuck, and I think that's really dumb. Now besides that, what they decided to do, they didn't actually nerf the enemies. They did go ahead and adjust a little bit of the Revenant, which is kind of good because that faction was really annoying with that laser beam shit. Oh god, the Observers. Fuck you! Like, seriously, I hate those bastards. So that should be a little bit easier now. And in fact, I think they're going to be the new faction to farm on gold because they also went ahead and buffed the Outlaws. They made it so that the Krogans are more likely to attack players that are close to them. And they did that with a lot of enemies because they're trying to nerf melee builds, which in my opinion is a bunch of bullshit. And BioWare, I think you done goofed with this big time. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of the melee build stuff because I just feel like it is a little bit like fucking cheesy that everybody's running around on gold meleeing on a Vanguard. That's kind of dumb, but the thing is that the fucking weapons in this game and the powers are just not fucking good. And because of that, there's got to be a way to like farm and grind and be able to do gold and silver and stuff and make it easy, okay? Like, there's just got to be that way, and Melee was that way to make it easy so that you didn't actually have to do any microtransactions or some bullshit so you can get some better weapons. Because hopefully in the future when we unlock the max level weapons of the rares and the N7s, we're going to be like, damn, yeah, these are amazing. But right now, we don't have that. And if you're trying to grind, it's fucking annoying to grind sometimes, especially with fucking randoms. That's another thing. I don't know if they factored that in, that most people who play this game, they play it with randoms. I don't, but I'm lucky in that way, and I've always said that even in Mass Effect 3, I was lucky I didn't have to play with randoms because I heard horrible stories about playing with randoms on how people were just doing the dumbest stuff and people would just yell at them and stuff, so it was really, really bad. So if you're stuck with that, a melee Vanguard was a class you could play, and you knew that you probably do okay. Where if you're trying to like do other classes, it's just not that good. So I can't believe they actually nerfed the melee class. And the worst part about it, the reason why they probably did it is because so many people were doing the melee Vanguard build. But BioWare, you done fucked up for the future. Because in the future, the melee build's not going to be that great once we get all of the other equipment. Honestly, this is all BioWare's fault. Because what they did was they released the Juggernaut shield first. And by doing that, I mean, that thing was amazing for melee builds. So, obviously, all the melee builds were going to be buffed dramatically with the Juggernaut shield, because it added 75% more melee damage, which is a lot. Now, if the other equipments were also out at the same time, you really would not have seen that as much, because what people would have probably done is go ahead and get the other equipment. Which, by the way, I think that some of the equipment is stupid, because they released the newest one, which was like that biotic damage one. I think that's dumb. It should have recharge time on it. I don't give a fuck about the damage. I want the fucking recharge time. Give us 30% more damage and 30% more fucking recharge time. And same with the tech one. The tech one's gonna be 15% more tech damage. Watch. It's gonna fucking suck. Like, that's terrible. It should be recharge speed and damage, because that makes a big fucking difference, okay? Now, besides that, I just think they fucked up, because in the future, the melee builds are just not going to be that great unless they go ahead and reverse that, because they just have to understand that by releasing the Juggernaut shield, that's what really promoted the melee build stuff. And on top of it, when all the weapons are just underwhelming as fuck, and it just feels like it takes too long to kill enemies, of course people are going to come up with easy solutions around that, because people want to grind your fucking game, BioWare. They want to unlock your cool shit. They just don't want to spend $300 doing it. That's the fucking problem. So, you know, it's so stupid. I just feel like if BioWare, like, watches my explosion video, and then a lot of people start doing my explosion stuff, they will fucking nerf explosions, dude. Because you know why? Because they want people to fucking spend money on their fucking game. They want microtransactions. I mean, that's ridiculous. Same with, like, the Vanquisher. They nerfed the fucking Vanquisher. What the fuck, dude? Like, that's so stupid. This was one of the only good weapons in the game, and it's rare. So by nerfing the Vanquisher, they're pretty much making the Black Widow the best sniper in the game, like, which it already probably was, to be quite honest. But when you're talking about a Vanquisher like max level versus a Black Widow 1, well, the Vanquisher is probably better because it's at max level and the Black Widow is only at 1. Well, if you nerf the Vanquisher, well, then the Black Widow 1 is better than the Vanquisher like 10 potentially, and that's fucking stupid. And of course, people are going to want the Black Widow now over the Vanquisher, so guess what? Money! Microtransaction time! That's really like a big fucking problem. I'm hoping that's not what they're doing here, is they're not promoting microtransactions, but by nerfing the melee build, I feel like in a way they are, because they don't like the fact that people are able to basically play the game with things that are already in the game, and they don't actually have to like have good weapons. They just need to go ahead and just put on a melee vanguard and set their build up the correct way, and by doing that they can actually grind for like money, and then they can unlock all the weapons by putting in work and not like opening up their fucking wallet and getting their debit card out and buying all the shit. That's a bunch of bullshit in my opinion. I really fucking hope that's not what they're doing here, but I have a fucking gut feeling they are. But anyway, yeah, they buffed the fucking Outlaws, and that's so stupid on top of everything else. You know why? Because guess what? People were grinding too hard on the Outlaws, and they're like, fuck that shit. Instead of like going ahead and making it so that they bring the other factions in balance, maybe make them a little bit easier. But I really think that they need to like take away the bullet sponge bullshit. I mean, that is ridiculous. When I play this game, I don't want it to be extremely easy, but there's a balance to this. What they can do is they can go ahead and make it so the enemies do more damage and make it so that we do more damage, alright? So like, it's a lot harder to stay alive on gold. I'm willing to trade that to be able to kill shit fast. Like, I want to be able to kill shit without using multiple fucking clips. The Maddock is the fucking greatest example of this. What they did was they went ahead and they fixed it because the fucking weapon was glitched. It wasn't working right. Now you can trigger finger it. But guess what they do? They go, you know what? It's kind of okay now. It's kind of like a good weapon. We can't have that shit. We need to go ahead and nerf it and lower the damage so that it takes fucking 8 clips to kill something. Yeah, go ahead and trigger finger all fucking day. Your fucking hand's gonna fall off by the time it's done because that's how long it's gonna take to kill a fucking dog. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. Why, BioWare? Why did you do this? Why did you nerf the fucking Maddox after you buffed it? And guess what, guys? They gave us more ammo. Thank you, BioWare. That's pretty much them admitting it. You know what? You're gonna need these like extra 100 fucking bullets because it's gonna take a lot of clips to kill that one enemy. Good luck. That's so stupid. Alrighty, guys. That's gonna pretty much do it for the video. I really hope you have enjoyed it and my little rant at the end there, but I gotta get that shit off my chest. Will you please like the video for me? Be sure to subscribe, and I really do hope that everyone has a very nice day, and peace out.
Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.